Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Inesha Kelly, and I am the proud dean of Dawson Technical Institute. We are so excited to have you guys here to learn more about the work that Mrs. Schechter and Reverend Hood is doing about the Senior Home Bill. I wanted to tell you a little bit more about Dawson before we get started. So here at Dawson, we are a pre-apprenticeship program where we have construction carpentry, masonry, plumbing, welding, overhead electrical line worker, gas utility, and construction management. We are a comprehensive program strategically located in the center of the city to make sure that accessibility is there for everyone. And within our program, all of them are taught by journeymen. A journeyman is someone who has went through the union, been through a 4 to 5 year apprenticeship program, and now is considered the subject matter expert of their particular trade. We really pride ourselves in the quality of instruction and our hands-on learning. On the third floor, the magic happens. Our students build mock houses. They do home plumbing installations. They're welding beams. They're doing concrete finishing. If you go outside in our parking lot, you'll see 40-foot poles, utility poles that our overhead electrical line worker students are climbing. Our students are learning and prepared to go right into the workforce. And so this bill really reinvigorates me because it's ensuring that it's codified in the bill that pre-apprenticeship programs can have a pipeline straight to the workforce. So I'm so appreciative of all of the work that you are doing and really proud to join the coalition. Just housekeeping, restroom for the ladies is on this side and for the men is on this side before you go through the double doors, just in case you have to relieve yourselves during the presentation. But it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Gail Schechter as well as Reverend Hood.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Dean Kelly. This is such a wonderful space. Chicago is so fortunate to have Dawson Technical Institute here because this is the next generation of people who are going to work on our physical infrastructure. And I am Gail Schechter. I'm the executive director of H.O.M.E, which is Housing Opportunities and Maintenance for the Elderly. I'm also the main organizer, along with Reverend Robin Hood, of MOVE, Mothers Opposed to Violence Everywhere, and the Illinois Anti-Foreclosure Coalition, working to expand resources to enable older homeowners to be able to remain in their homes. Low-income older homeowners, not only that, homeowners who may be living in Chicago neighborhoods or other communities around the state where there's nobody out there to do the repairs that students here are learning how to do, or who may not have the funds to access those repairs. So we see people as, paying attention to people is as much part of our infrastructure as bricks and mortar. We call it social infrastructure. So I just want to briefly tell you a little about Fix Our Homes Illinois. If you've got your agendas on the back as a flyer about our coalition, please join. You've got cards where you can sign up, or you can go to our website, fixourhomesillinois.org. I want to mention how very briefly how it started before I give the mic to Reverend Hood. H.O.M.E, we are a nonprofit that's been around for 42 years. One of the things that we do, aside from actually owning and managing affordable intergenerational housing centered around older people, but also with younger resident assistants and families with children, is we help seniors within their communities to be able to remain where they are, safely and affordably and comfortably. And the biggest of those community programs is our upkeep and repair program. Well, and we focus on the south and west sides of the city, so right around here. Well, our waiting list is through the roof. one of the things that's really important to us is making sure that we can meet the need that we probably get about a dozen phone calls a day from older people needing repairs. And not even fancy repairs. We're talking about hot water. We're talking about, a leak in a bathroom. But these are things that all of us here, if we're lucky, we can call somebody and it's fixed before it even really inconveniences us all that much. So we were fortunate. So the origins of Fix Our Homes Illinois is just a few years ago when the DePaul Institute for Housing Studies was funded by RRF Foundation on Aging, and I believe there's Ann is here. Yeah, Ann, thank you, Ann. Ann is the catalyst indirectly for this campaign. So she funded this study, RRF funded this study of the housing needs of older people in Chicago and Cook County. Some really good data is out there. You can find it on their website. So when there was a rollout of this study over Zoom, because it was during the pandemic, we decided, and H.O.M.E was on the community advisory committee of that, we decided, well, we don't want this as a group. We don't want this to sit on a shelf. We want to implement findings from this study. So what happened was that we asked DePaul to do a survey of community groups, and many of you here, some of you might have even filled out that survey. What are the most important needs that you see of older people, renters, and homeowners? Well, the number one issue for homeowners was home repair. No sooner did we get that data than an article came out in the Sun-Times, it was a Tribune and Cranes from Professor Robin Bartram, who was then with Tulane, now she's at the University of Chicago, that said, we need in Illinois to focus on senior home repair, and guess what? Pennsylvania's done it. They had just started this whole home repair program. So I literally looked up her email, wrote to her at Tulane, said, hey, you want to tell us about it here in Chicago? And so we were on a Zoom call, and the rest is history. Another member from another group came up with the name Fix Our Homes Illinois. This is not even quite 2 years ago, and we are now a coalition that includes the groups that you see on your list, and then we came up with a bill that Reverend Hood and I at the last minute, man. Anyway, I'm not even going all of that, but we got a bill in 2024, the Senior Home Preservation Program Act, that actually even went passed unanimously bipartisan by the Human Services Committee in Springfield, but they said, you know what, you need a little bit more detail. And so that's what we're spending time doing this year in 2025. And we're really excited about that. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that at the same time that we're dealing with this, trying to expand state resources, we were hit suddenly 2 days before Christmas with news. We are H.O.M.E, I know North Branch Works and Northside, Chris Zala, who's here too, yes. We are 3 among 8 delegate agencies that were informed by the city of Chicago that the nearly 30-year-old small accessible repairs for seniors program, it wasn't always called that, is disappearing. And meanwhile, each of our agencies have been diligent as delegate agencies, and so we're sort of reeling about that. So we find ourselves here not only wanting more resources in the state, but to protect what we have. And with that, I'm passing this to Reverend Hood.
All right. So Gail did a good job by giving us an overview of how we came together as a coalition. Again, my name is Reverend Robin Hood, and I am the founder of MOVE and also Illinois Anti-Foreclosure Coalition. One of the reasons why I knew this had to happen for seniors, besides looking at the disrepair in our own communities, is it's hard for senior citizens to get loans. And furthermore, why would you want a senior citizen that worked, retired, paid bills all those years. Why you want them to get a loan? You shouldn't. So when we got together on this, and this thing just took flight, and I got some more good news on how fast this thing is moving. We'll get into that. But the reason why it was really important to me and became front and center to our work is because there were over 120 seniors that were victims of reverse mortgage fraud. How many of you had seen that over the years where Mark Diamond had ripped them off? Well, I got some good news and some good news. Tomorrow he'll be going to jail for 30 years for doing that. All right? 30 years. His lawyer is throwing rocks at the penitentiary. You all forgive me, I'm from the street. Amen? His lawyer was part of that, and that has to stop. The way he took these seniors' money, he had them believing that it was a CETA program, when in reality he was taking the equity out their house and not doing little to no minimal work. So he did it for about 30 years until he ran into my Aunt Lily. And my Aunt Lily got a nephew named Reverend Robin Hood. How about that? So we fought over the last decade to save those seniors' homes and them family members' homes, and there is some restitution for those families. But however, you still got homes in what? Disrepair. So the other good news I got, I talked to Senator Lakeisha Collins of the 5th District. Is her representative from my office here yet? If not, she will carry our bill to the Senate. Let's give her a round of applause. And she very much would like to see some money put toward this ASAP. And that's a good thing. So I'm not going to argue with somebody who want to get on and fight. Amen? So today, we're going to hear from some professionals that's been working in housing. You're going to hear from a professional broker/lawyer. You're going to hear from housing advocates, people that are on the ground like myself and Mother Opposed to Violence Everywhere that fight for people in these communities for justice. So I see most of y'all that already eaten. Is the food any good? Yeah. All right. Well, then we can get right on into the program, okay? So at this time, we're going to ask Miss Montgomery to come forward. Let's give her a hand clap.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I'm Ella Montgomery, a current student of public policy at the University of Chicago and a Christman Fellow for Housing Law and Scholarship. Also important to my introduction is the fact that I am a native South Sider. I grew up in Washington Park, and all I had to do to get here was bike down Wabash, so it's safe to say I'm local. In addition to this, I'm a data scientist and housing advocate, and I'm currently working with H.O.M.E, Housing Opportunities and Maintenance for the Elderly, as a part of the Fix Our Home Illinois Coalition to ensure that low-income elderly homeowners are able to access home repairs that provide an indelible and an arguable benefit, not only to those homeowners, but also to the surrounding communities. I have a brief time with you all. I want to spend it making the case about the importance of access to home repair and backing that up with why it's important to individuals, communities, and further, why this community and policy agenda demands attention and allocations at the state level. So in August of 2024, Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies released a review of the national landscape of home repair programs. The need for this study was identified for 3 key reasons. First, substandard housing harms individuals and communities with immediate and long-term effects on health, financial stability, wealth, and neighborhood trajectories. 2, housing deterioration harms is an important dimension of inequality. Disparities in housing conditions exacerbate existing racial, socioeconomic, and environmental justice. And 3, there's limited research and inconsistent data on the scale of home repair program needs or the current landscape of repair interventions. This is something that I've been working on for the past few weeks. Without an idea of the scope and of current repair infrastructure in place, it's difficult to specifically identify what policy moves have to be made. Another researcher at UChicago, Robin Bartram, previously mentioned, produced an inventory of home repairs in Illinois. I've been working on expanding this so that we can have data about groups that are currently being served and where the gaps are in the state that have to be targeted for support. But going back to the first point about the effect of housing quality on individuals and communities, I think we can easily identify the primary effects of having a livable house on a homeowner. Without the funds to improve housing quality, you have problems with health, lead poisoning, asthma, other respiratory infections, physical injuries, and poor mental health. For example, repairs needed to address lead poisoning have been shown to have a huge positive return on investment with individual and social benefits greatly exceeding costs. There's also a problem with wealth. The US is a home-owning country, and the home is the single largest asset most families have. With home repair programs at play, there are measurable gains in homeowners' mental and physical health. Rebuilding together adds accessibility features to homes and does small repairs to general conditions. Over the course of a one-year span from 2019 to 2020, the number of falls fell by 50% compared to 6 months before repairs. Homeowners also reported feeling a greater sense of pride in their homes and belonging in their community. They reported an increased likelihood that they'd be able to age in place and indicated that they view their homes as a more valuable financial asset that they could pass down to their new generation. And some of the neighborhood effects are prescient. I want to bring particular attention to stability and independence. The ability to age in place allows communities to endure and thrive as social bonds continue on instead of being interrupted by the need to relocate because a house simply isn't livable anymore. A knock-on effect of this is neighborhood blight. Surrounding properties appreciate, reducing the economic viability of a neighborhood. So ensuring that seniors are able to age in place is very important for not only the structure of a community, but also the economic opportunities, ensuring that there aren't these effects of vacant houses like we see on the south and west side of Chicago. Programs that allow aging in place to happen are uniformly underfunded, but the economic benefits of making sure this can happen is clear. Aging in place is cost-effective for seniors on fixed income. Nationally, 35% of housing units have a home repair cost of about $400. This is a relatively small price to pay for what we gain in community resilience and savings in health costs and neighborhood revitalization. So as I mentioned before, we're currently gathering data on home repair programs in Illinois. I recently got data on the last year of SARS, the Small Accessible Repairs for Seniors program run in Chicago. Of the 90 households this program reached in 2024, the median cost was about $3,100. Supporting seniors aging in place is not just a matter of individual well-being. It is a crucial component of community sustainability. By funding housing repair programs, we can address the physical challenges many seniors face within their homes, thus preventing the negative ripple effects of neighborhoods such as blight and depreciating property values. The economic benefits extend beyond the individual homeowner. They boost community resilience, health cost savings, and neighborhood revitalization. It's evident from the data collected that relatively modest investments yield significant returns. And this gives us the opportunity to have stronger, more cohesive communities where social bonds remain unbroken. With this, I'd like to invite Sansoria to moderate our panel.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Sansoria Williams, and I'm representing Teamwork Inglewood under the Inglewood Quality of Life Plan. At this time, I would like for our panelists to take their seats. While our panelists are coming up, I want to set the ground for why this panel is important and kind of set some context of what you'll hear today. So the panel discussion takes us from just simply talking about providing repair support. We'll explore the idea of collective impact and why it takes community-based organizations, our institutions in both the public and private sector to really make an impact in order to create sustainable neighborhoods. Our focus is on how combined efforts can help preserve housing and promote long-term stability for low-income senior homeowners. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our panel. We have Leslie Rodriguez from Chicago Habitat for Humanity. We have Inesha Kelly, Dean of Dawson Technology. We have Eva Adams from the Center for Disability and Elder Law. And then Kimberly Chase Harding, Realtor with the Chicago Association of Realtors. Thank you all for being here. So to start us off, we kind of want to talk about neighborhood stability and why some of the issues that we hear that you heard earlier from Gail and Reverend Hood about some of the things that they've been hearing on the ground and why it's essential for home repair resources. Some of the things that we know and why we have a Fix Our Home coalition is because a lot of our senior homeowners face things and try to navigate resources such as FEMA, such as weatherization, and the roof and porch repair program. Through our community-based organizations, we know that seniors have a hard time navigating those resources and figuring out how to either do applications, be eligible for those applications, and that is why it's essential for community come together and why it's been known that community-based organizations has kind of stepped up to the plate to support seniors not only navigate the system, but kind of get the support that's needed. Thank you. So with that, we kind of want to start off with Reverend Hood to answer our first question on neighborhood stability. And so from your position, can you pretty much discuss what's been happening on the ground level? And can you briefly share some of the issues that homeowners have been sharing with you and how these can be addressed?
So I mentioned it in my opening statement in one aspect of it, but you can go into any communities on the west and south side, and you can see disrepair to those homes. And I guarantee you, more than 70% of them are senior citizens that cannot afford to get home repair. And when you think about it, you know, somebody that paid taxes, let's say for 50 years, paid ComEd bills for 50 years, paid people gas bills for 50 years. Don't you think they deserve home repair? And one thing we notice, when those seniors cannot afford home repair and they have to leave a place because the place, you know, basically been the violations the city has put on the place. They pay taxes for the city. So you think about it for years and years, how it destabilized communities. Because, in particularly in the black community, our biggest wealth is home ownership. And it's passed down from generation to generation. And the feds don't like me to say this, but I do not like reverse mortgages. I do not like reverse mortgages. Until there's a proper education. Now, a person that want to get rid of their homes and their families are fine and they're educated about it, that I don't have a problem with. But what I do is not educating our seniors that they are actually giving away their ownership and their inheritance that they had planned for their kids and their children. So you could see it basically in any of our communities when the communities are in disrepair because of seniors lacking ability for home repair grants.
Thank you for that. And leading on, how do we continue to increase access and accessibility for programs? I want to pass a question to Leslie. So Habitat for Humanity has long been a leader in providing repair support. Can you share how your organization addresses the needs of low-income senior homeowners, and what are both the benefits and challenges for individuals and the larger community?
Yes, so at Habitat, we believe that everyone deserves a decent place to live. The mission for Habitat has always been affordable homeownership. In fact, Habitat is one of the largest home developers in the US. Along the way, we realized that sustaining, stabilizing, and maintaining the current housing stock is the only way to ensure that everyone keeps a decent place to live. And that is why some of Habitat affiliates have incorporated affordable repair programs. So we have affiliates that will go into the home and address the single repair that they're contacted for. Or we have affiliates that go in and do a complete home assessment to determine all of the health and safety repairs that are needed in the home. The goal is to keep the homeowner in the home. They can address roofs, HVAC systems, broken heating systems, unsafe stairs, anything that will maintain the home health and safety. For individuals, the benefits, it allows seniors to stay in their home and live there with dignity. It allows them to stay there long-term, age in place. It allows them to maintain independence and avoid the high cost of assisted living or the burden of relocation. And it also allows them to keep that home as an asset to pass down to generation, right? We want to build generational wealth. For communities, preserving homes stabilize neighborhoods. It maintains a steady property values steady, and it ensures that communities are just strengthened by allowing seniors that have oftentimes lived there long-term to stay and remain part of it. Some of the challenges that we face are funding, right? Repairs are expensive. Funding is limited, demand versus resources. There are more seniors in need of repairs than there are resources and capacity that we have. And then one big challenge that we find with all the affiliates that I work with currently are getting contractors to bid on the repair projects.
Thank you. Your work illustrates the impact of organizational repair efforts, but we also know, just like you said, these programs rely heavily on skilled laborers and contractors. Anisha, as Dawson is deeply involved in the workforce development, how can schools and other workforce development partners help increase the pipeline of laborers and meet this growing demand?
In Chicago, we're in a very, very good place. Our governor approved the Illinois Works program, which provides free tuition to individuals who want to pursue construction, carpentry, masonry, plumbing, HVAC. We also have the Black Caucus in Illinois who approved the Workforce Equity Initiative grant, which Dawson actually received about $6 million to date, in which we're putting students through tuition-free pre-apprenticeship programs. We have partners like Hire 360 and Revolution Workshops. We are putting thousands of students through pre-apprenticeship programs, so the workforce is there. What we're really trying to do is build a pipeline to the youth. And so one program we have here at Dawson is a metaverse program where individuals between the age of 9 and 14 learn about construction trades through virtual reality. We're trying to meet them where they are. The kids love gaming, so we have to get into gaming, but still merge that construction component into it. We are elated to share that at CPS, they have a Chicago Builds program. The students in the Chicago Builds program is now simultaneously earning college credit through Dawson Technical Institute. So they're learning carpentry over at Dunbar High School and earning college credit here at Dawson. Our programs are 100% hands-on. You have some pre-apprenticeship programs where you sit and you read a book. That's not what happens at CPS Chicago Builds or here at City Colleges of Chicago. You are getting your hands dirty. We are making sure that they are prepared and equipped. Oftentimes when we see work being done in our community, it is not reflective of the demographic of that particular community. But what I love about this bill is it's codifying within it that we will ensure that we go to these pre-apprenticeship programs that's in your community that will help ensure that we are holistic about this approach. So now we have the new generation coming in, providing the skilled labor needs, and we have the seniors getting the repairs that they need. That is a double win.
Yes, thank you, thank you. As we've been discussing, the need for housing repair and maintenance is significant. And oftentimes there are not enough resources that fully meet that demand. In addition to the physical repairs, there are also legal and financial challenges that many senior homeowners face. With this, Eva, the Center for Disability and Elder Law provides essential services to homeowners at risk. Could you talk about how your organizations support homeowners in preventing foreclosure, protecting against financial fraud, and ultimately helping to preserve housing and generational wealth?
Yes, I'd really love to do that. So I'm with the Center for Disability and Elder Law, and we have a lot of practice areas. I'm specifically talking about housing today, and that we have a housing preservation project that's really focused on seniors being 60 years of age and older, and people with disabilities. And we are looking at, what we're doing is we're looking at those challenges that are affecting cost-burdened seniors when it comes to maintaining their home ownership. So we're not on the ground, we're not making repairs inside the home, but what we're looking at is the burdens to paying taxes, to tapping into a line of equity to make those home repairs if you don't qualify for services. Because there is an issue in America right now where people have a home, but they're not on title. They're not able to take property tax exemptions. They're not able to exercise all of the rights that come with home ownership. So what we're doing is we're focused on making powers of attorney so people can age in place. So that's, preserving personal autonomy for healthcare, but also making sure that, mom and dad or our grandparents can pay their bills, they can maintain their mortgage. We're also looking at helping seniors take those property tax exemptions if they qualify for them. Because here in Illinois, you're over 65, senior exemption. You make less than $65,000 a year, that's a senior freeze exemption, so freezing your assessed value, which only goes up. I lost my train of thought, I'm so sorry. What was that? Yeah. Oh, and we are one of the only firms that does landlord side eviction, eviction. So you're focused on, grandma has a house. She, rents out one room. And so that's really helping people in these 1 to 4 units. You have a terrible tenant where you're over 60, you're able to call us for assistance. Lots of people aren't focused on that, but we really are trying to preserve the wealth and pass that on. A big component of what we do is the transfer on death instrument here in Illinois, making sure that people can avoid probate. We can't guarantee that there's not going to be a family issue that causes somebody to be in probate court, but we really are looking at trying to preserve that equity in the home and seamlessly passing it on to the future generations. So especially when people are getting home repairs, we want to make sure that those home repairs aren't just benefiting one person, but they're able to fix up the home and pass it on. Just a couple quick things that I wanted to mention. Of course, we face the same obstacles as everyone else. There's not enough funding. There's not enough resources for us to continue our work. But in addition to that, older adults have accessibility challenges with technology, accessing the court system, reaching out for help. And the social isolation, not just of COVID, but continuing on. That's something we see all the time with powers of attorney is they may not have friends or family or anybody to help. And it especially comes out when, you have a home, but who are you leaving that to? And I just want to mention, talking about death and dying, I do it all the time, but it's not polite table conversation. That's not something you want to do, and it's something you have to do with somebody you trust. And so in the long run, why it's important is we want to make sure that everybody has a safe home, a home that is fixed up, a home that you can pass to a generation and that you don't have to lose in, arguing in probate court. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job. So it is clear that education and legal support are key pieces of this puzzle. As we think about supporting seniors and homeowners more broadly, another important aspect is the role of real estate professionals. We know the real estate professionals are kind of the first step into getting into home ownership. Kimberly, how are realtors and the Chicago Association of Realtors responded to the growing need for home buyer counseling, particularly in terms of educating homeowners on issues like deferred maintenance, mortgage counseling, and estate planning.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the best way to answer that question is to start at the top.